Last October, the global shipping industry tried to pass this massive climate rule book, but it ended up in a total pileup led by the U.S. and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, just completely derailed.
Right. So today we're diving into the year of the fire horse for maritime trade. Basically, looking at what happens when the regulator of global trade just, loses control of the wheel, leaving shipping companies to navigate environmental rules totally on their own. We're pulling all this from two recent pieces in Maritime CEO magazine.
And real quick, just a note for you listening before we really jump in. Our sources feature some pretty heavy political critiques.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like regarding the U.S. administration rolling back environmental goals and even arguments that the framework itself relies on, well, politicized science. We're strictly exploring the fallout of these clashes today, not endorsing either side's politics.
Exactly, just laying out the facts. So the center of the storm is the failure of the Net Zero Framework, or the NZF. The International Maritime Organization, the IMO, tried to push this through, but the U.S. and Saudi Arabia basically forced a one-year delay.
Yeah, which makes this 78-year-old UN agency suddenly look, incredibly fragile.
Wait, fragile how? Like in what sense?
Well, because they've stopped dictating and started negotiating.
Mm.
Mark O'Neill, he's the CEO of Columbia Group, makes a really sharp observation here.
Oh, what does he say?
He argues the IMO failed because it acted like an industry advocate trying to keep everybody happy rather than, a strict enforcer.
Like they were lobbying for a consensus instead of actually making rules.
Exactly. Instead of just setting hard emissions caps and saying, meet these or you can't sail, they spent all their time trying to appease oil-producing nations and shipping giants.
It's honestly like a substitute teacher who politely asks the class to, well, agree on the syllabus.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. And while they're debating, the students, which in this case are regional regulators like the EU enforcing its own emissions trading system, are just walking right up to the chalkboard. They're writing their own strict grading rubrics and forcing the rest of the class to follow them.
Yeah, which creates total chaos for a global industry.
Right.
This is why Intermanager is suggesting the IMO look at the aviation industry's model, specifically the ICAO.
Oh, right, aviation. Because they need absolute standardization just out of pure necessity for safety.
Exactly. An airplane can't follow different mechanical rules depending on what country it's flying over. The ICAO separates the political lobbying from the actual technical rulemaking.
So it creates unified, non-negotiable standards worldwide.
Right, but shipping hasn't done that.
And since our substitute teacher hit pause on the global rules for a year, who is actually steering the ship right now?
The shipping companies themselves. Seriously. But without a clear regulatory map, their strategy has shifted away from, idealistic green ambition to just ruthless financial pragmatism.
Wait, pragmatism? That sounds a lot like corporate spin to me.
I know, it does.
Aren't they just using this IMO delay to stall on actual climate goals and pad their margins while the regulators are distracted?
Well, it's easy to see it that way. But leaders at firms like Wärtsilä and Hafnia argue it's actually about pure economic survival, facing all this uncertainty.
I guess, but isn't the technology there?
That's the thing. The barrier to green shipping actually isn't the technology anymore. We have the ship designs. The real barriers are fuel availability and infrastructure.
Meaning if you don't know what the global emissions tax will look like in 5 years, or if green methanol will even be available at the ports you visit, you just can't risk billions on a specialized new fleet.
Precisely. You just can't. So instead of green branding, they are focusing entirely on balance sheet resilience.
Balance sheet resilience, got it.
Yeah, we're seeing a massive pivot toward low-cost, upfront efficiency upgrades for their existing midlife vessels. They're investing heavily in universally beneficial tweaks.
Like what kind of tweaks?
Things like advanced hull coatings to reduce drag or AI engine software to optimize fuel burn. It's environmental efficiency, yeah, but driven entirely by financial discipline.
Wow. Which ultimately affects everyone listening to this deep dive right now.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't just UN boardroom drama. If this global regulatory system fragments and every port suddenly demands a different fuel standard or carbon tax, the friction in global trade skyrockets.
Right. And who pays for that friction?
We do. That directly drives up the cost of moving literally everything, from the phone in your pocket to the groceries in your fridge.
A fragmented ocean means a very expensive supply chain. But, the silver lining here is that these companies are still cutting emissions.
Even if their primary motivation is just burning less fuel to save cash.
Exactly.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to ponder. If a massive, complex global industry can quietly self-regulate for efficiency, purely out of economic survival, do we actually need a centralized global watchdog to mandate green innovation?
It's a great question.
Or will the market eventually correct itself? Keep an eye on the horizon the next time you track a package.